Dumelang. Emma. Ke bidwa Segofalang, as you have been told. I hope I'm audible. I have a very small voice, but I'll try shouting. Langkuto. Okay. Today, I agreed to be here with this team because I wanted to talk to you about competencies. The reason being, I've been doing a lot of CVs for people, and there's a lot of confusion about competencies. People, they don't understand why I have to have more than 10 competencies in my CV. People, they don't understand the difference between skills, competencies, qualifications, and objectives. And it's one of those things that are disadvantaging people out there. Because when you are being called for an interview, they want you to come understanding the competencies that are behind driving the purpose of your job. I'll give you an example. As an HR person, I have a competency called confidentiality. Meaning, as an HR personnel, I handle people's files. I handle letters. Before someone is fired, I'm the first person to know. So I need to know and understand that not everyone should know what is in anyone's file. That is a competency. Competency are both behavioral, like the person you are, how you behave, and also the skills that you acquired through school and through your experience. So it's a combination of the two. Your skills, your attitude, your behavior, the education there, the experience, those things when combined, they make a competency. Okay? I'll give you an example. I am a trainer and a speaker, but it was something that was in me from way back. I've always been this person who speaks, but I had to go through training to sharpen the skills to be able to train. For example, at one point, I knew that training or speaking is just about standing before people and being audible, having the confidence to speak to people. That's what it was about for me when I was in school at UB doing those presentations. But then when I got to the workplace, I got to understand that there is more to being a speaker and a presenter and a trainer. There is more to it than just standing before people and speaking. There are more skills that I needed. Those skills, they included your emotional intelligence. There is what we call your body languages, your facial expressions. You need to understand your audience. You even need to understand how to dress when you go to different audiences. If I was speaking to older people right now, I wouldn't be wearing a jumpsuit. I wouldn't even be showing my shoulders as a speaker, which is something I didn't even know that it was important as a competency when you're a trainer or a speaker. If I was in a khotla meeting right now, I wouldn't be wearing pants. As part of being a speaker and a trainer, you need to understand your audience, you need to understand where you are going, you need to understand your body language. Sometimes you even need to understand the kind of makeup you wear when you go to speak to different audiences. When I go to a gala dinner, I'm going to speak there, I go with full glam, whatnot. And then here is a different setting, you change. So as part of the competencies, there's so much that comes in play to create a competency that would make you good at your job, that will make you noticeable. There are people who are very good at their jobs, but their behaviors, someone like that might be good at their job, but their interpersonal skills might disqualify them from being hired. I once had a situation whereby we were doing an interview. So as I was doing an interview for this company, the person they needed for the position, they needed someone who is very nice with everyone. It was beyond their qualifications, it was beyond their experience. This person needed to be a very nice person, which is the competency that we call interpersonal skills. Do you have interpersonal skills? Are you a team player? That was the biggest thing they needed from that job. So you know what they did? They put someone, part of the team that was working on recruiting, they put the person at the gate. The person pretended to be a security guard, so that as people walked in coming for the interview, he will be the first contact person. And as they were coming in, they were observing. He was observing their behaviors. is this person going to treat the security guard the same way he's going to be treating the CEO? So some of them would be coming there, they would be giving this person attitude because they are looking down on him. Who is he? Hey, you're wasting my time. I have an interview. Hey, little did they know that this person, that's where the interview was starting. That's where the interview was starting. Are you a nice person? Are you going to be bullying people because they're not educated? Are you going to be looking down on people because you feel like their jobs are below par? So that's where the interview started, and a lot of them, they fell at the gate. They didn't even know that's where the interview started. Because some of your competencies are not about your qualifications, they're about your behavior. I'll give you an example. As a counselor, as a social worker, you're one person who knows so much about people's lives. People tell you a lot of things they don't want anyone to know. And imagine you are saying you want to go for an interview as a social worker or as a counselor, and one day I hang around with you at the bar and then you are telling me stories about your clients. Do you think next time we meet at an interview, even though you wrote that, hey, it's me, I know how to hold confidential information, do you think I'm going to hire you? No, because when you are drunk, you tell people's things to people who shouldn't even be knowing them. So competencies are beyond your qualification. A lot of people, they think if I have a degree, if I have 5 years experience, a job is guaranteed. It's not guaranteed. When you go for like big corporates, they usually take people to psychometrics. Psychometrics, that is where they test your competencies. They test them how they give you kind of like an interview. You'll be by yourself behind a computer online, asking you questions that seem crazy, wanting to see how patient you are, asking you questions about things that have nothing to do with your job, testing your reaction, testing your thinking, your emotional intelligence before they decide to give you a job. So that is where we are now. Companies want beyond your qualifications. They want to know your attitude. They want to know your behavior. Are you the kind of person who is going to be hard to work with? Are you going to be able to work with other people? I had this client, he went to one of the psychometrics. He went with another guy. So apparently, one of the questions they asked was something that they wanted to understand if these people understood that. Whatever they were asking was too technical. So the other one was proud to show that I know this, and he answered. This one just said, I don't know that. And you know that the one who knew failed the interview? Because the job he was going to be given needed him to understand things at a basic level, because he was going to be working with a lot of people who are so basic. So if he was too technical, it means he was going to feel everyone else as kind of like stupid. And people like that tend to be very impatient with people who don't understand things as technically as them. So they become very hard to lead teams. Those are the kind of bosses who will call you stupid because you don't know something, because they know something. So they wanted someone who is basic, because that way that person will be so patient with other people, because they don't really know everything, but they have potential to know things. So some jobs you would lose them because you are too technical for a job that needs someone who's going to be working with basic people. You understand? And when you go for competency-based interviews, because a lot of people always ask me, what do they want? One of the first questions they may ask you is, tell us about yourself. If I say, tell me about yourself, you're not going to be telling me about your love life. I don't care if you're married or you're not married. Tell us about yourself means, what are you bringing to the table as an employee for this job? You understand? And what you're bringing to the table should be answers that are answering the job advert that you used to apply. If they said, we need someone with a degree in public administration who has 5 years of work experience, and they have been a manager, they have experience doing training, they know how to write reports. Those are the things you say when they say, tell us about yourself. How about tell us about yourself? You say, my name is Segofalang Nagafela-Bibiza. I have a degree in public administration and sociology. I'm trained as a trainer of trainers, and I've been working as a trainer for so long. Part of my training, I was doing reports on the trainings I did. You know, you make sure you talk about the things that appeared in the job advert that are relevant to you. You understand? Because you want them to see that you know why you are there. You know why you said you qualify for that job. So show them that what you wanted in the job advert is what I have. You basically just elaborate on it. Expand on it. Tell them what you were doing, where, for how long, because you have to address years of experience, you have to address the qualifications, you have to address even the duties they talked about. So that is what tell us about yourself means. I've seen situations whereby people, when you say tell us about yourself, you start saying, I'm so and so, hey, like me, I have a husband, I have 3 kids. What is your husband and your 3 kids? How are they going to improve how you do your job here? Unless it's a job that said they want a family-oriented person. Because there are jobs whereby maybe you're going to be working with a family. They wrote in the advert, we want a family-oriented person. Then that's when you can say, and I have a husband and 3 kids. But if it does not appear anywhere, you shouldn't be saying it. Unless someone asks you. Because they might ask you, maybe if it's a situation whereby they will be posting you far. They might ask you, do you have a husband? Do you have kids? Because maybe they want to see if they can post you far or they can keep you here. But you shouldn't be saying it when they say, tell us about yourself. It is not necessary. I get. The other thing, when you go for competency-based interviews, when they ask you questions, there is what we call the STAR model. STAR model, the S stands for situation, the T stands for task, the A stands for action, the R stands for results. So when we ask you, tell us about a time whereby you had to deal with a difficult customer, I want you to explain the situation you were in. The situation is what was happening. How was this person insulting you, harassing you? What was the misunderstanding? You take me there, you start there. You need to paint a picture. So you'll be telling me what the misunderstanding was, what was he saying, what was happening. And then your task is, as that was happening, what did you tell yourself that this is what I need to do so that I distinguish this fire? For example, maybe a customer came in, like I used to do payments where I worked, which meant that I paid suppliers as an admin officer who was also doing accounting. So there was a time I had a client who had given us banking details, only to find that the bank account was closed because he had been out of business for some time. There was no money in the account. The bank closed it. He did not know. So he brought in everything. We did everything, submitted at revenue. The payment was done, but the payment bounced because it found a closed bank account. So he comes to my office. He's insulting me, telling me that I want to eat his money. I think government's money is my money, whatnot. That was my situation. The situation was someone gave me banking details to an account that was closed. The money bounced. He came into my office angry. That is my situation, my task. My task was to find out what really happened because I knew I had prepared this person's payment. So the action now. The action was I asked them to sit down, let me open my computer, check what happened, and I apologized. You know, you just apologize even before you understand who was wrong there. I'm so sorry. Can you please sit down? Let me find out what happened. Let me open gaps. Open gaps. Gaps shows me that the company is there. You did everything. It's in the system. I turn the computer to him. Come and say, this is what I did. You see, I prepared your payment. Yes. Let me call revenue now. He sits down. It's part of my action. I call revenue. Check me, company so and so, what has happened. Revenue goes into the system. They confirm the money went to a closed account, so it went back to Bank of Botswana. That was part of the action I took. The results. Now the customer has an understanding of what happened because I made them understand. This is what happened. you were at fault, but obviously you don't say you were at fault. You just tell them your account was closed, the payment, as you see, it was done, but it found your account closed. And then they will ask you, so what should I do? As part of the results, then you help them fill all the paperwork that is needed so that they can go reopen the account so that the money comes in. You see, when you go to an interview, that's how you narrate things. People should see you solving things, and they should see the thought process behind everything that you say you do. They don't want you to be doing things because you are doing them by chance. Like I told him to shut up, and then he shut up. I guess someone can shut up because maybe you are a bit intimidating. And if you had said shut up, it does not mean there was a thought process to you cooling them down. So that's how you answer a competency-based interview question. You take people through the process of everything you did and always make sure your results are positive. If I tell them and then we found out that the payment was not done and there was nothing I could do because it was his fault, no. I should make sure at the end of the day there was a solution to whatever happened. There was an understanding. Something was done about what happened, which was why we made sure we fill out all those forms for the banks and everything, went back, created that account, and the money was sent back again. Because I've had a situation whereby there was a time I was doing an interview for a certain lodge, and we asked them this question, how to deal with a difficult client. And that lady, the other lady just clearly showed that the customer threw tantrums, they couldn't contain him, and then he left. And that was her answer, he left. And then I told him, you're just telling me that someone lost business because you couldn't contain a customer. It is not good results. So the results should show that even though there was a situation, you managed to solve it, and the results were great. Yes. And you know, I'm wondering if means nonsense. Yes. So I'm going to just give you a list of competencies that are basic across all jobs. Whether you are a lawyer, whether you are in HR, whether you work in a shop, there are competencies that they cut across. They are for everyone. And then as the jobs, they differ, then you start having those differences there and there. The other one will have maybe business acumen because maybe he's handling accounts. The other one maybe will have training and presentation because their job is like mine. They talk before people, but another one doesn't even have to do that. The other one is going to maybe do with record keeping because maybe they work in records. But I think there are about 10 or 12 that are common across everyone, such that every time you do your CV, make sure they appear. Okay? Yeah. One of the first one is time management. As an employee, we need to know as an employer that you know how to manage your time. You know how to manage the company's time. That is one of the most important competencies. And you managing time, it means you're going to be doing things within certain timelines that are there. You're going to meet deadlines. We are not going to lose out on anything because you are managing your time. Second one, team player. Every company needs someone who is a team player because you're going to be working with a bunch of people from different departments. And all of you are working at one common goal for an organization. So you need to be that person who can be able to gel into a team, whether what you are doing is different, but you work together so that the company reaches its goals and visions. Again, the second one is called interpersonal skills. Interpersonal skills goes hand in hand with team player. It's how you relate with other people. How do you work with other people? How do you talk to them? How do you solve issues when you have issues? Do you relate the same way with the security guard and the cleaner, the same way you relate with your boss? Or you look down upon them because security cleaner? Again. And then we have customer focus. Customer focus is you putting the customer first. Every person who works needs to have that competency. Putting the customer first. Always making sure the aspirations of the customer are met. The customer is always right, even though they can abuse you if you are not careful. And then we have the one called drive for results. Drive for results basically means you are one person who's determined to always make sure you get the desired results from you. You'll go out of your way to make sure that you don't fail at any task you are given. You'll go out of your way to make sure that the company does not fail at whatever they're supposed to be doing. I'll give you an example for this one. There was, in government, procurement people, most of what they do, but about supplies, they do it in the system. Sometimes the system is not there in your office or your building or your ministry or a certain part of town, there's no system. But then you have timelines. You're supposed to pay suppliers within 6 days or 3 days. So someone with a drive for results will know that government is government. So if there's no internet at Ministry of Agriculture, where I used to work, then I can go check at Industrial Court. Do you guys have gaps there? It's there. I have payments I need to make in 3 days. Suppliers are waiting for them. And then you see that this person is not just sitting in the office and saying, now on gaps, about nahas, and then they end up failing at delivering. Well, they have other solutions. They can take BXC, go ask somewhere else, and then they deliver. So someone with drive for results or someone like that. Someone who does not allow anything to stand in their way, unless they have exhausted all options. And then we have the one that we call learning on the fly. Learning on the fly, this one is very important for people at entry level. People from school, people who have 2 years of work experience, 1 year. Those learning on the fly basically means you learn as you work. There are people, when they are new at work, you need to make sure you teach them what to do for 3 months before they can start actually doing the work. And most people don't have time for that. They want to teach you as you do. They teach you how a payment is done as you are doing it. They teach you how a report is done as you are doing it. You keep making those mistakes as you are doing it. You don't say, let me learn first. When I understand the concepts, then I'll start doing it. No. You need to be that person who can say, okay, teach me, we will do this. As I make mistakes, you will correct me along the way until I get it. That's one of the most important competencies. And then there's one that we call technical and functional skills. Technical and functional skills basically wants to see you combining what you learned at school, your experience, and the skills you have within yourself. You remember the first example I gave you about me being a trainer and a speaker? I told you about how I had experience of speaking at school, but I had to go through training and go through experience so that I sharpen the skill. A skill like that is a technical and a functional skill. Speaking is technical to my job. To an IT person, the technical skill might be maybe troubleshooting, installing things. To an electrician, it might be wiring a house. Is that technical skill? Technical skills are different for every job. For an accounting person, it might be bookkeeping. That might be a technical thing in accounting. Like every job has its own technicalities. So we want to see you applying your technical skills, your experience, and what you learned at school to do a job. And what usually you do is you combine the two. That lecture once said this. And then you take what you saw at work and then you try coming up with something better. Those are technical and learning skills, technical and functional skills. And then there is the one that we call technical learning. Technical learning basically means you are going to be coming in. You have those technical skills you learned from school or from somewhere. But you are willing to learn more of those skills. You are willing to learn everything technical about your job. Because it's not like we know everything. Even me right now, where I am, there's still things I learn that are so technical to my job. There's still people I call and I ask questions and they teach me, do this way and this way. So you need to be someone who is willing to improve your technical knowledge all the time, because that's how you grow. And then we have one called problem solving. Problem solving does not necessarily mean you're solving a problem like directly. What it means is you need to be someone who has foresight. And someone who can see ahead. And someone who can say, if we do this, this is what is going to happen, Kopil. Or someone who can literally see that there's going to be a backlash if we do this. You understand? For example, I'm not trying to be political, please. I'm not trying to be political. I'm just trying to give you examples that I feel maybe you have seen. You have seen that most of the time we always see government writing rebuttals. They will release something, they did not cover all aspects, there's a rebuttal, there's an uproar, and then someone has to come and try doing damage control. It's because someone in that office does not have problem-solving skills. If you have, you need to be able to release something and make sure everything you do, you cover all the loopholes that might be created by what you are releasing such that there is no backlash. You need to be able to say, if we do this, this is the kind of trouble we are going to be in. If we do this, we are going to lose these clients. If we do this, we are going to anger these people. So you need to be able to say, let's do it differently, make sure we cover all aspects so that there is no problem. And someone like that, whatever you come up with telling people to do, you know what usually they do? People like that, they end up, what do you call this? They benchmark. Someone with problem-solving skills, a lot of people benchmark from you. And then even after you leave the place, you'll find that those people that you left there, they're still doing things the way you told them to do it because they saw that it worked. It works so much, they have to adopt it, others have to copy it, others have to take it. Because companies, they hire you because they want you to be able to look at these things, be able to see gaps, think of ways of closing them, make sure they're not in trouble, make sure they don't lose money, make sure their images as a company, they don't get destroyed by making small mistakes. Again, so basically, basically you're a prophet of your own job. How problem solving. And then we have the other one called being innovative and creative. Innovation and creativity, they are more or less the same thing, but depending on the job you do, they might be different. So you can either say innovative or creative, or you can just write both, innovative and creative. Being innovative basically means you think outside the box. You're always coming up with new ideas, coming up with new ways of doing things. A company hires you as a youth, about 40 years, because they are thinking this one might be coming with new ideas. This one might be knowing new apps that we don't know. They might be knowing new softwares that we don't know. They basically know things that other people don't know. So you come in because they are hoping you have new ideas that will improve how they do things, that will improve the results, that will bring in more money. So creativity is one of the most important competencies. Very important. For that one, you can forget others, but never ever forget that you are innovative and creative. Okay? And then the other one is analytical skills. Analytical skills means you're basically that person who's very good at analyzing situations. You analyze people such that you understand this is how I work with him, this is how I work with this one. You analyze situations such that you can come up with better ways of dealing with situations because you were able to analyze. You can pay so much attention to detail and see that, I think I should take this route and not that route. So that's basically someone with analytical skills. And analytical skills is also related to having attention to detail, which is one of other competencies. Attention to detail. Attention to detail, it means you can notice when that, when you work with people, sometimes they overlook other things. There can be a mistake someone does not see. As an accounting person, I remember there was a time they took me to Ministry of Finance to go pay people's salaries there. And I'm not an accountant. Hey, one day I was supposed to pay someone 10,000. I paid 100,000. Hey. Yo, 100,000. I'm not an accountant. I don't know anything about accounting, and it was my first experience with gap system because as an HR person, we were not using it. Accounts. I paid someone 100,000. But the only thing that saved me was every time after I do all my payments, I would make sure that I go through them again. I would take that one, look at the paper that came. 100. And then after I realized that, I called the bosses. But this has happened. Please help me. And then luckily it was before the system ran. So my dear so they managed to help me reverse it. But then if I was that person, I just do what I do and then I put it there. I don't even try to check details. I would have paid someone 100,000 instead of 10,000. And I was going to be in trouble. And you know what they do? After you overpay them, and they have every right to do that. The bottom line is they're going to be told, pay up the money, how much can you afford to pay? And he's going to say 100 pula a month. Because to them it's a soft loan. It's a loan with no interest. And I was saved by the fact that I liked paying so much attention to numbers, especially because it wasn't my strong field. So I knew I had to be so attentive with everything I do because I was not an accountant. So it is very important. You can get in trouble. Imagine there was just a dot. A dot was moved to the other zero. That's all that happened. That full stop is the one that messed everything up for me. One full stop. Okay. Amilang kuto. I get it, email. And then we have communication skills. Communication skills are basically, like it is saying, we want to see how you communicate with people. How do you talk to people? Do you know how to talk to people? Talking not just through face-to-face, even momehaling, even as you write. Because sometimes you're going to talk to people through the memo. You're going to talk to them through saving gram. So someone with communication skills, what we want from you is whatever you say with your mouth or what you write should be what you intended to say. It should be understood the way you wanted it to be understood. That way you won't have to write a rebuttal. This is why we keep seeing people writing things. That's not like after 2 days, because there's an uproar. Your first communication should be intentional, should be understood the way it came out from you. If you have to write and then you have to go explain again what you wrote and how you wrote it, then your communication skills have a problem. So companies don't want someone, please write a press release for us, and then your press release brings backlash to the company. Because you don't know how to communicate. People automatically will not say it's you, they will say it's the company that did that. So communication skills are very key also. It's one of the basic ones that cut across everyone. I'm done.